Hello everybody, my name is Sampo, and yeah, this is a review for Miraculous Ladybug Season 5 for the first few episodes. And here's the reason why I'm not going to basically doing a separate review for every single episode that is released currently. And the reason why? I don't really have much time, and basically for a few of these episodes, there's not really much to talk about. Mostly self-explanatory, and of course for most of you guys who are subscribed to the channel, most of you guys again maybe not watch Miraculous, but I do have a few already from the past who are still subscribed and watch Miraculous. So hey, this is a video for you guys. But I do recommend Miraculous basically to everybody. Basically, I do recommend it. It is a good show no matter what people say, at least in my opinion. Sure, it has a lot of flaws, but I don't know. Personally, I really like it. And to be honest, season 5 currently, as much as I am watching right now, fixes a lot of problems that people are having with Miraculous in the past. Is it too little too late? Maybe, but that will be for a series review, which would be maybe later until Disney acquires it fully. Either way, yeah, Miraculous Ladybug, it is going to be a full week for just Miraculous. Just gonna let you guys know, and I am going to be keeping it to that week only, so don't worry about that. That's why I'm not going to be doing a separate review for each episode. I'm just going to combine most of this. This is one of the few videos that I'm doing. Possibly, I think there's just going to be like 3 or 4 videos just like this. So yeah. Also, I am going to be doing a little different for this one. I'm still following the same thing as just showing you guys a little bit of the episode in general, but I cannot play any clips or the sound, or this video might get blocked in every region, just like it used to do. But yeah, that's enough for the intros. Now let's get into the review. This is my Miraculous Ladybug review for Season 5, Episodes 3 to 5. 3 to 5. Yes, that's right, 3 to 5. And also, if you haven't watched my review for episodes 1 and 2, my icon on the right up there. And yeah, don't forget to, of course, watch the original episodes. And if you cannot find them, I mean, they're on the internet. It is free to watch, of course. But if you want to support them, go on and watch the actual full release, like the official release of them. Without further ado, let's begin these 3. And oh boy, these 3, a lot of stuff is actually happening. Episode 3, Destruction. And this is going to be a very simple one, and I would actually recommend you guys to watch this yourself, because even I cannot explain mostly what happening is in this episode. Oh boy, so where do I begin? All you really need to know is that Hawkmoth, or Monarch at this point, is in Marinette's room, basically trying to find the Guardian, all the rest of the Miraculous, which is just at this point, he already has most of them. He's just now just trying to find the Ladybug and Cat Miraculous. So he's trying to go to Ladybug because the Kwami's know where she is. And that's basically it for that basically part of the story. But of course, this part, basically, the first half of this episode is what you think it would be. After we get closer to the middle part and then the exploration, this is all just part of Marinette's big brain plan. And this plan is pretty complicated, but to be honest, the only reason why it's complicated is that she's actually trying to find a lot of loopholes through the Kwamis and a lot of other stuff. I would explain all of it, but there's only 2 reasons why I can't explain. One, for one thing, there's a lot of details that you have to listen to Marinette, and this is all happened in the time skip that we got from episode 2. And for second, I would explain all of it, but first, again, I am trying to make this short, and my lungs are still recovering from the flu I got from last year. So yeah, trying to speed this up, so I do apologize if I do cough from here or there. But the most interesting thing about this episode is that Cat Noir Ladybug, or almost again the second time of the series in season 2, very fast, is that they captured Monarch. Unfortunately, he escaped. And how did he escape? Well, let's just say that it was a very painful process. When going after the Miraculous of the Moth and Cat Noir trying to destroy it, Hawkmoth pulled Cat Noir with his Cataclysm hand and basically let the Cataclysm touch his, forearm on that arm. I think it's his left arm, I believe. So yeah, but don't worry, the show won't just end there because Hawkmoth is not dead from this, but he is, let's just say, very injured. And this is how the injury looks like. As you can see here, it seems like this is a decay thing. So, yeah, if you want to make references that Cat Noir is like Shigaraki from My Hero, then yes, yeah. But this is basically, now you're going to be asking, wouldn't this kind of kill, like, the person already? Well, there's two theories I like to think. One, that Cat Noir earlier said that it was just a slight bit of his power, since because he doesn't want to hurt. It was just kind of like a bluff, but it was just like at the very most minimum power that Cat Noir can put out. Or the second theory is that, well, the Miraculous actually protects the user from one fatal hit. And this would be it, but the Cat Miraculous was just a little too strong and kind of gone through. This would have explained it since last time Cat Noir from the previous season, I think season 3, got hit by his own Cataclysm, which is from a different user, and then he lost some of his ribs, possibly. I don't know. But then he got fixed, so yeah, don't worry about that. Other than that, yeah. So after this episode, we can just say that both Marinette and Cat Noir are just very distraught. Like, thing is, Marinette is just like now sad and felt defeated in a mission standpoint, as her big brain plan almost worked, but then he just kind of left because of one unpredictable act. And Cat Noir is also feeling the same thing, but in an emotional sense and morality sense, as his morality is now challenged, as that he kind of hurt a innocent man under that mask, possibly. Not very innocent, but like, even as a villain, Monarch is still a human at the end of the day, and Cat Noir doesn't want to harm any humans. And Jesus Christ, you know what I think? It's kind of weird to say, but it seems like Cat Noir has more like morality than any hero from My Hero, possibly. I really don't know. It could just be me, but as much as I watch My Hero, like, I this is like how I feel. But then again, this is a kids show, so it makes sense that Cat Noir would be very in the high morality scale. So yeah. Other than that, at the very end of this episode, Hawkmoth, with the remaining Miraculous that he does have, will try to refine it. So what he's trying to do right now is destroying the Miraculous, which he can by this big ass laser, turn to powder, turn to rings, and then those rings will be modified to his new product, the Alliance, which is the ring that we saw from episode 2, episode 2, from the time skip. And of course, that's how he would use his new powers. How he would use it, well, we'll see that in episode 4. Overall, I really love this, and if you really want more explanation, to be honest, the latter half, the second half of this episode, is mostly just exposition, but it will explain Marinette's big brain plan, and it's a very good plan. It is a little confusing. Also, by the structure of this episode, the first half seems to be not just the events, but also a flashback on what Marinette told Aya about her big brain plan. And then the second half of this episode is basically the explanation, with the latter half being somewhere in between the time skip and the current timeline in episode 4. And I think this is mostly during the time skip. If you again want more context, you have to watch the actual episode, because in honesty, I could explain this all day, but that would just be in its own video, and I am trying to do 2 more episodes, so here we go. Episode 4, Jubilation. And this is the episode that, to my understanding, it is directly after episode 3. So good job of consistency there. As you can see over here, Marinette is wearing a new set of clothes. Finally, like, it's been forever, so she's basically going out for a jog. and you can see here that Gabriel Gress is on the billboard. This is basically to advertise the new Ring Alliance that was introduced in episode 2, if you didn't remember. And in this episode, well, we have just a few things. I'll go over this pretty briefly because it is also self-explanatory, but the ending of this episode is just the thing that we should be talking about. So just gonna speed this up. Our boy, the Owl, is basically still being the friendly neighborhood superhero owl that we all know and love. And to be honest, he is a pretty underrated character. Basically, I forgot his actual name. I remembered it just a few minutes ago. I just kind of forget. It's basically an on and off thing for me to remember some of these characters, especially ones that basically do appear just a tiny bit infrequent, you could say. Mr. Democles, I think this is his name, and he's here just saving a cat. Of course, later he did get stuck, but of course, later, well, Marinette did see this and was going to turn into Ladybug until we have a doppelganger. Now, here's the thing. This doppelganger, I cannot really say it correctly, but, you know, she's not really here to basically do bad name on for Ladybug. In fact, she's actually trying to help Ladybug, because sometimes Ladybug can't really be there all the time. That's her reason. Of course, that's been explained later in the video, but I'm just gonna let you know. Also, yes, she does look a little similar to Ladybug, but you can already tell by the hair design and basically the color of the skin is actually a bit different, to be honest, if you have watched like Miraculous as much as I do. And for a few people, you already know, but for new people who just got into this series and watched this episode first, I am sorry to say that you are just basically confused. And to be honest, yeah, but for most of us, it's self-explanatory. So she did save Mr. Democles, and then Marinette will come in later and it's basically they'll talk about it. But then later, again, they'll just, you know, kind of go to separate ways, as superheroes do, you know. Also, we have finally an actual Batman reference, and I actually really love this reference. It only happens once, but it is just as a classic Batman fan myself, this is actually pretty well done, honestly. All the effects works so well too. Also, I mean, like, Sonic Boom already did this joke as well, but I mean, like, this never gets old, at least for me. It's a very good reference, and of course, the owl is just basically a reference of Batman, if you haven't known. I don't think anybody actually talked about how the reference of the owl, and of course, his organization, Dark Owl, is basically just like Batman, but I think most of us already know. So let's continue. So this is the new girl. She actually runs a paint shop, and her backstory, according to Marinette and her, which, to be honest, I kind of forgot the name. She is a new character, so hopefully she does appear more, and spoiler alert for ahead of later episodes, she does appear at least a little bit more, but more like a plot convenience, or at least like a plot convenience for Marinette's plans as Ladybug to save the day, because of course it's sometimes more like around art stuff, which is actually pretty nice. So not exactly a relevant character, but her backstory to Marinette is that they were basically friends back at middle school, I believe, or at least like maybe earlier middle school, because at this point they must be at high school in the English dub, of course. So they're high school in English dub. She is basically Marinette's friend from middle school. However, she is 1 year older, and that includes grade level, so she basically graduated from middle school to go to high school. Basically, also a different high school. So, like, much more further. Kind of like Luca, except Luca's homeschooled, so I really don't know. Her role back in middle school is basically to help Marinette, like, defend against Chloe, because Chloe was, if you still remember, Chloe has been a bully since middle school, and yeah, of course we will see the severity of how much bullying was from middle school, like maybe just a 140 line later in the future episode. But yeah, she's just there. Of course, and more background, she also likes, she does have a little thing for Adrian, but it's more like a model type of crush, you know, like a daydream thing, not an actual crush like Marinette has. Of course, Marinette tells her about the story about like her being sitting next to Adrian in the school, and like she got a little jealous, but like, you know, not that much. She's actually really well moraled in a way. So that's actually pretty nice. Of course, when they're talking about all this, Mr. Damocles did come over here to get his mask painted, but of course he's trying to keep this as a secret, even though a lot of people already know that is Mr. Damocles, that is the owl. But you know, gotta keep the illusion happening, right? Unfortunately, later it does kind of get out of the bag, kind of, but that wasn't really the most important part. What actually happened was that the owl was just kind of incompetent. I don't remember who actually said it, and I don't think it was worded that way, but you can tell. And of course, he is just a bit crushed later. You know, he's just kind of sad. He feels down, negative emotions, stuff like that. So you already know who in this episode is actually getting akumatized, basically. Of course, the shop owner says that she's sorry and all that, and don't worry, she'll give the mask as on the house. But of course, Mr. Damocles like says thank you, but in a much more depth tone type of voice, or maybe that's not the right type of description that I would say, but pretty much pretty sad, honestly, for the owl. And then of course, as for the how did Myrna get the alliance? She got the alliance from her old friend, you know, the shop owner. Just the thing to just like browse and kind of take a hold while she actually helps Mr. Damocles. She saw on the news that dinosaurs are attacking, and yeah, if you don't remember from season 4, apparently there is a scientist who's trying to be doing there's a scientist who's trying to do a Jurassic World in this world. So technically speaking, you can actually say that Jurassic World is also canon to the series, but that's a joke. But maybe not, you never know for the series at this point, at least like some of this. But it is technically like the second time they did a Jurassic Park reference, which is actually pretty good. But those are actual real dinosaurs there. They're not actually akumatizations like projections or something. They're just actual dinosaurs, which I think is actually pretty funny, to be honest. Oh boy. And of course, just to clarify all this in just of 1 to 2 sentences, Marinette with the alliance turns to Ladybug and basically swings around the city while the shop owner talks to Mr. Damocles about the whole thing, and that's about it. Also, the alliance did record the mapping of Ladybug's travel, and it was just really on the mark, so to speak. However, this actually gets the attention of Gabriel Gress, which turns to Monarch. Then the conversation starts with basically you know who. We got the mind of Hawkmoth Monarch now. Again, this is the second time. The first time was actually hearing Big say, "Froggy, where are you?" if you remember that reference. And of course, he akumatizes Mr. Damocles, but here's the thing. Most of the civilians at this point are trying to sway Hawkmoth that they are not going to work for him. Except this time, Hawkmoth has somehow got the higher dice roll of being manipulative and basically got the persuasion off, you know. And it works. So the owl becomes the darker owl. And the darker owl, let's just say, so yeah, the darker owl, I should say, did not change one bit. However, what actually now happens here is interesting. So the thing is, in this episode, we actually get to see how the new powers work for Monarch. Monarch can now transfer the power of the Miraculous to the akumatized villain via the ring, which is Alliance. That's how he's doing this. The heroes don't know yet, only we know. It is basically the same song and dance. The audience would know, but the main characters will not know. Because that is how the show is run, basically. And I am fine with it. The thing about that now is that this actually explains from episode 2 how that akumatized villain actually was able to multiply. And of course, this isn't a one-time thing, and it will be explained with power. The power of how much Hawkmoth can do this, Monarch can do this, is explained later. But yeah, pretty much. So the power that Monarch gave to the Darker Owl is basically the power of Jubilation, which is basically also the title of the episode. So title drop. Jubilation, you already know how it works, but I'll explain to you again. Jubilation, the power of Jubilation is basically if the person, the wielder can show the person their deepest desires, and that is about it. And that is going to be a very big trip later. So he comes into the shop and basically thanks to Monarch, thinks that the shop owner is Ladybug, just because the alliance recorded on her alliance, right? So what happens is that he hits her with the Jubilation and basically just kind of has this little dream sequence that she is actually a hero with, you know, Ladybug and Cat Noir. Also, Cat Noir's ears, they look like little mouse ears. I think that might just be a little mistake, but, you know, it could just be them just flopped down. Who knows? We got a little bit to a scuffle, but then Cat Noir and Ladybug, don't worry, they're on the scene as always. And of course, during the fight, Cat Noir did save the shop owner because she was hanged up by the lamppost and will drop down by a few stories high, and yeah. But after saving her, then Ladybug saving Cat Noir from getting hit the first time, both of them got hit at the same time. So how does this work? Well, it's going to show their deepest desires at the same time. And thankfully, kind of, they both share the same desire. And this is the point where I say you should watch it yourselves, but there are clips on YouTube already. And while I would love to put this as a clip on my YouTube channel as well, somebody did it first, and I don't want to share the credit with them from that, as in like I don't want to like undermine that one. So if you can find the clip of this, I think it's like the Ladybug and Cat Noir daydream with kids or something like that, because one thing's for sure, these babies are nightmare fuel at the very least. But these kids are basically just dolls, and I don't know if this means that Ladybug and Cat Noir, or you know, Marinette and Adrian at this point, both of them share the same desires as either persona, and if they want baby dolls as their kids, I mean, I don't know, it's just kind of creepy. Also, no hamsters, so that's just one thing. Also, mustache. Cat Noir has a mustache in this. And the dream sequence is super long, but the alarm clock, which is basically Ladybug's lucky charm, keeps ringing every section of their paradise dream, basically. But, of course, good dreams has to come to an end. Cat Noir finally got reminded, thanks to Ladybug, because Ladybug noticed it first, then tried to convince Cat Noir that this is all fake. And yes, they look sad, of course, him and Ladybug. And of course, in just this dream, they both actually kiss, that this is the actual dream, that this is the actual desire that they both want. Now, I do have my own theories on this, which I will possibly make a video about it later, unless somebody already did it, because I only have one theory, one thing that could prove that this is the same desire that they both have, but they see each other differently. They see each other differently in their own minds. It's just for the audience sake, and of course maybe budget sake, they keep these two the same appearance as they were when they got into this desired dream. If you know what I mean, hopefully you do know. It's just that, of course, the theory goes that, of course, Ladybug sees Cat Noir as Adrian, and Adrian sees Ladybug as Ladybug, but they see themselves as those two characters, as those two different alter personas and stuff like that. I'll get more detail when I get that theory out, unless somebody already did it, but that's how it is. And of course, they actually kiss, the rain appears, and then she disappears. Cat Noir was the last person to wake up. Cat Noir goes in for the attack, and with an angry face, in Cat Noir's berserk state, he was going to end it all for the Darker Owl. Basically, with who knows how much power that he just exuded there, he was going to kill the Dark Owl right then and there, obliterating him. But of course, Ladybug did stop him and tell him to just aim for the face. Which of course, Cat Noir already knows that the mask is where the Kuma is in, so he just taps on the mask. And everything's hunky-dory, except for a few things. For one, after this, Mr. Damocles will get the new miraculous charm to protect him. Not enough, but at least it will let Hawkmoth use more of his power to use more Omega Kumas. But yes. And after this, we can skip a little ahead and we skip to the end because there is an end credit scene in this one. Besides from what happened from before, Marinette does get an alliance, but for her mom, of course, as a gift for Mother's Day, I believe. I think this appeared on Mother's Day. And the thing is, at the end credits, both Cat Noir and Ladybug did talk about that shared Jubilation dream. And they think that it might be possible that the Darker Owl, or Monarch in this case, actually modified the power to basically show a false reality instead of deepest desire. But you can tell by their faces that they really did not want to believe that. They want to believe that both of them wished for the same desire, or like this was their actual true desire, at least from their visions of themselves, and they're both shared. And basically, they just at the end kind of denied it as such. It's just a illusion that was modified by Monarch. But of course, both of them didn't want to believe it. We ended the episode with basically a sour note. In a good way. In a good way that is emotional, just not for the characters. So, after this we have episode 5. Illusion. And let me tell you about this one. This is one of the more interesting ones. At least to me. At the very start of the episode, we are interviewing a lot of big namesakes, like YXY, which for some reason he's still here, and he still needs the help from his father, the director, to talk. And then we have Mr. Damocles, Chloe, of course, Chloe has to be here. And this is all basically interviewed from Nadia, and she's talking with the 3 big names, of course. Big names, and this is kind of maybe a joke, possibly. It's the producer. We got the game show guy. I really hate to forget his name, but of course, the main consistency that I like is that he now wears big hair, and that, you go man, you wear that wig. Also, Mr. Banana. Mr. Banana is here for some reason. I guess he is still a big name here, and he still has a catchphrase, stay peachy. You know, I was gonna call him Banana Joe, because that's kind of what Mr. Banana reminds me of, Banana Joe from Gumball. He's kind of that. But yeah, of course, the director is still trying to advertise his son's music talents, which is basically possibly auto-tune. Because, you know, we had to have a Justin Bieber reference still. And, of course, it's still fun to make fun of. I mean, Sonic Boomerang did, so why not this, you know? And, of course, we talked about this a little bit more. Just the plans, and basically Ladybug and Cat Noir will actually save us from Monarch and stuff like that. So, back at home, this is basically a Adrian-esque episode. And, boy, the biggest shocker of all time is that Gabriel Gress is happy. And he's cooking in all white clothes. This is the most shocking thing ever. Also, and this is not like a half-assed thing, he is genuinely talking to his son with care. And this is the first time even Adrian's just surprised. And you could technically tell that Gabriel is acting, but to be honest, if you're watching this for the first time, you would actually think that he's actually just either losing it, or he's basically it's the illusion of Gabriel, or this is actually Gabriel's best acting method. And to be honest, he is a very good actor, as we all know. But, man, gotta say, again, I'm just too surprised. Also, he is cooking, and he's cooking, I think he's actually cooking bacon. We don't see the bacon, but he's actually cooking bacon is implied. And then he's asking Adrian if he wants to, well, how he likes his eggs. like, scrambled or hard-boiled. I mean, I'm a man who likes to go for a sunrise egg if I can, but I mean, like, hard-boil if you have salt and pepper, honestly. So basically, Adrian's here. His main focus originally was basically telling his dad that can he actually stop using the Alliance, like giving it out, or have people not use the Alliance or something like that, or at least remove his face from the Alliance, because Gabriel Gress uses his face for the AI, and the AI of Alliance can be either Adrian or Lila. Adrian doesn't want people to see his face. That was one of the reasons why he didn't want to be a model, because he doesn't want to be seen by other people that much. Just recognize him by looks, basically. He wants to be that person who at least have that one person out there who doesn't actually know him, at least as a famous person. Of course, Gabriel Gress's reason for this, of why he's using this, is that he has to make the product somehow, and this was one way that he can make a profit with Adrian, and also spending more time with him, as in using the face of the AI Adrian to use as for the Alliance to make profit, while actually spending time with his actual son, so his son would not actually go do his modeling career. So Adrian could actually live his own life, Gabriel can spend more time with his son, and of course make money off of an AI project. There's a lot of things I don't agree with, but I mean, he's not wrong, but also it's not exactly that right either. But Adrian actually does go along with it. Also, there is one funny scene that I would just want to play out here. So I am not going to play any sound here, because for the obvious reasons, this video would actually get copyrighted a little quick. So I'm just going to play a very quick clip, and this is one of the clips I will be using for as one of the Miraculous clips on the channel. You can watch that in sound later, or you can go and watch the actual episode, because I told you the title of the episode, but I think I found this scene funny. So, what I found it funny is just his instant reaction. He just gets angry. He just turns 0 to 100 in front of his son, preparing to like smack somebody with an iron hot pan. But apparently there was supposed to be bacon, but you see how like he flipped that pan and nothing came out of it. That is either a strong grip pan that bacon is sticked on, he could overcook the bacon, or something happened there. Because there was oil still on that pan, so he would either also just burn his son there. But I mean, like, yeah, it was just a funny scene how he just got angry 0 to 100. But then you question, like, how did the food stay on there? Of course, they did talk about it just a tiny bit. You can also see that, yeah, you can see the tiny bit of bacon that was on there. Or was it pancakes? I really don't know. It looks like bacon to me. But yeah, Adrian basically acts Alliance. They actually did agree that it was for the best. At least for his father's reasoning, Adrian does agree with him, so he'll let it slide for now. And then they have the breakfast together, which is a nice time. Both Marinette and Aya are basically talking about how Hawkmoth actually gives the power of the Miraculous.to the Okumatai's villains. Later, Nino came in and trying to say that both of them, he's inviting both of them to a secret meeting in here, of course. We're back at the classroom, and the teacher says it's time for a parent-teacher meeting. And for the parent-teacher meeting, I don't remember, it looks like it's mostly just the dads there. I really don't know why. But as you can see, Miss Bougier right here, there is consistency. This also proves that the Miraculous New York special is canon, because in that movie special, she was pregnant with a child. And you can see she has a baby bump now, which is actually really nice and consistent to the details. And I think right now, this is either a fast baby or the timing of the series in the show. Time in the show has passed in an actual rate. So, but then again, who knows? That's all I'm saying. Of course, this is also Adrian's first time of actually staying at school. This is Adrian's first time eating lunch in the school. Because apparently every time when it's lunch, Adrian goes back home to who eat lunch, and that is just funny to me. And the thing is that he doesn't know how the lunch works. It's like Adrian's like, I never was able to choose my own food before, and you know how sad that is. To be honest, that's actually pretty sad if you cannot choose what food you want to eat, honestly. Unless you go to a buffet, but I guess Adrian never gone to a buffet, so that's a pretty sad part. He also says that he's actually happy that his father lets him be here, and he's actually fine with his face being on Alliance, so that way he can spend more time with his friends, his family, and especially Marinette. And Marinette got a little embarrassed and started to take all the food in the cafeteria. Oh, Jesus Christ. But maybe not too much. She took like 3 salads, so I mean, okay. But then after this, they got invited by Nino, Marinette, Adrian, and of course, Alia. Nino basically decided to do the secret resistance. Yes, there's now the resistance run by Nino, and of course, everybody is now sauce. Their secret code is all different types of sauces, like actual sauces. Now you might think that this scene was played out before, and to be honest, it almost looks like it. But the secret meeting is going to be in the basement, and I am going to say this right now: there will be more members that Nino will recruit for the resistance, and I am going to speed up a tiny bit here because for most of the part, it's just going to be the resistance stuff here. And a little bit. So let's get to the akumatization. Mr. Gress is finally here. Now the resistance plan is to get Gabriel Gress akumatized. That was Nino's plan. And Alia doesn't agree, but Adrian reluctantly will agree since Marinette did agree reluctantly as well. And Nino's like, yes, it's time for the plan to go to action. Their main goal is to get him so dirty, have his suit so dirty that he storms off in a fit of rage, basically. And of course, later, Lila will warn Gabriel Gress about this because Lila actually eavesdropped on the meeting twice. Now you can watch the plan yourself, but Monarch's here going to do 2 things. First, he's going to use the power of the illusion to make a copy of himself and use that copy, akumatize the copy, and then going to give the copy a power of the other Miraculous, and basically trying to get Cat Noir and Ladybug some Miraculous, basically, while Nino and Alia are going to hide and record the transformation, or at least tell Adrian to record the transformation, and then both Alia and Nino, while out in the open behind a car to take cover from the fight, basically will analyze the video about the transformation and how the miraculous power actually got there. And then, of course, Gabriel Gress turns into the Collector again, and then the fight ensues. Now, I will not tell you much more about the fight, except there were a bunch of rats and cheese and little monarchs, honestly. Monarch himself actually got into the fight as mini copies, but then later, after all this, he will basically do a body strap double. The illusion will basically turn back to normal, will drop through the main sewer drain or something like that, the sewer central, I would say, drop down, go into water, swim to the surface. On the surface, technically speaking, let Ladybug find him, and that's about it. That would also unfreeze Cat Noir, since Cat Noir got hit by pollen, the bee from the power from the bee Miraculous, basically. And of course, back on the surface, Nino and Alia realize that how Hawkmoth transferred these powers is by lightning. Not just any magic lightning. In Nino's words, it's just a magic lightning that only appears for 1 frame, which is 1 second. That's how Hawkmoth does it. And you know what the stupid part is? That after they find out, and then after they apologize to Mr. Gress, they told Mr. Gress the secret of Monarch's transfer abilities. Gabriel is like, oh, interesting. He said it with a smile. But of course, later in the episode, it's been explained that he actually told Natalie to basically fake the video, edit it, or at the very least, he uses as an illusion. He or the second part. I think this is actually the most correct part, of course. Hawkmoth uses the power of the illusion, as I said just a few seconds ago, to basically fake the transfer of power as a lightning bolt. We never saw it, but he just did it. And man, this man, Gabriel, he was like 2 steps ahead, and that is pretty okay. Also, now he knows about the resistance, and Jesus Christ, I mean, there's a lot of things happening that is just like a biggest mistake, and also Nino told Gabriel Gress that he is also now an honorary member of the sauce resistance, and of course Gabriel is happy. Of course, this is the real Gabriel, not an illusion, and Jesus Christ, this is not going very well. We, the audience, know about all this already, but the main characters just do not know. It is frustrating, but that's the charm about the series that I really like. It's not because it's frustrating. It's just because I just like the characters. How can they actually mess this up? And to be honest, I mean, they don't know. They have an excuse. There's a little loopholes here, but of course it would make Hawkmoth like plan out just a little bit more, trying to trick these kids. We do have a bonding moment with Adrian and Gabriel Gress, which is actually really nice. And this is all the members of the Resistance that we have gained. And Lila. Lila was here as another member for that Nino actually recruited. And man, if you already know, you would know what happens next. Oh yeah, we also have a ending credit scene with Gabriel Gress talking to Kagami's mom. And of course, it seems like Kagami's mom has known Gabriel being monarch, and they actually have a deal. So that's interesting, and that would actually explain episode 2. And that's the end of the series. I'm just kidding, it's actually the end of the review as well, since we're gonna stop right here.